Welcome everyone, my name's Envar, but you can call me Env, and I've got a very cool video for you guys today. I'm gonna be taking you through kind of like a deep dive, behind the curtains look at an Instagram growth funnel we've been running for one of our coaching clients, and we're consistently generating around $80,000 per month. Now, I've got the Stripe GIF here up on screen. This doesn't include PayPal revenue, so we are doing a little bit higher than that, but obviously for the sake of what I can show you here, we're doing around 80,000 a month through Stripe. I'm going to be taking you through a deep dive, going through all the elements to the traffic, to the ad creatives, to the profile optimization. And I'm also going to be talking about a lot of stuff that I haven't seen being spoke about on YouTube or anywhere for that matter on this topic. So whether you are a complete beginner to the concept of the Instagram growth funnel, all the way to, the fact that you've tried it for yourself, you're definitely going to be able to learn something in this video. And stick around, because in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the main different traffic sources for the Instagram growth funnel and my personal top recommendations based on the case study that we have in front of us, the different customer journeys and conversion flows you can put your audience through. So obviously, once you've got that traffic, what are you then doing with that traffic? How are we going to maximize the amount of revenue or lead flow we can get from the inbound visitors and awareness that we're getting onto our Instagram page? And then I'm going to be walking you through how to optimize your profile in the most effective way possible, because at any point of these three stages, you can get it wrong. The Instagram growth funnel is simple, but it's not easy. Okay, so I'm going to be walking you through the mistakes that we've made, or just where people typically go wrong, and just how we were able to generate $80,000 per month using this funnel. Because if you can get this right, guys, you're going to become like a one of one, right? You can't. It's hard to replicate this strategy if you get it right, and you can almost create like a moat around your business, which is pretty cool, especially if you're in an industry where competition is pretty high. And as a little bonus, I'm going to be walking you through some examples of the best performing Instagram growth funnel ad types so that you can copy them for yourself. Just a little bit about me, my credentials, my personal journey, just so you know that you're listening to the right guy. I've personally, over the past 6 years, got really fucking good at making coaches, consultants, and info product business owners a shit ton of money. I've scaled multiple businesses to 50 to 100K per month, all the usual bullshit, right? And back in November 2019, I had started my journey in the online space. Invoiced my first ever client for $20. Can you believe that? My first ever client, I found this the other day. It was November 2019, November 9th. I invoiced them for $20. And I was more excited about this client here than I was about the client here that I had invoiced for £36,000, which translates to around $50,000. So if people are paying me $50,000, you best believe I'm making them a lot of money. And you best believe that what I'm about to tell you is based on actual experience, right? So here's a little bit about my personal journey, working in my girlfriend's bedroom all the way to now traveling with the world with my two sons and my girlfriend, living a dream life, all that sort of nonsense. And I'm now making these videos not only transparently to grow my consulting business, but also to help founders like you scale. You don't have to reach out to me. You can just watch these videos, soak it all up, and apply this knowledge yourself. If you do have any questions, I reply to all questions personally with in-depth voice notes. So if you have any questions after this video, you could probably find my Instagram in the description somewhere. Head over there, drop me a message, no matter what it is. I won't give relationship advice, no matter what it is, and I'll respond with an in-depth voice note. So let's jump straight in. Time to lock in, people. Let's go. So the three core elements of the Instagram growth funnel, we have traffic, conversion journeys, and profile optimization. Now, I'm going to be taking you through all of these three different core elements. Like I mentioned previously, you can go wrong at any three of these stages. So I will be walking you through essentially, how not to go wrong and how you can overcome certain common pitfalls that people usually fall into. Now, what is the Instagram growth funnel? If you're not familiar with it, it's basically a way of turning your Instagram profile into a 24/7 authority engine that nurtures pre-sold clients into your offers. It can work for pretty much any online expert / consultant business. If you're a creator, course seller, online coach, anything like that, you can pretty much crush it with this. Now, when it comes to comparing the two, right, we're comparing an Instagram growth funnel to your traditional funnels. So traditional funnels, I'm talking about funnels where you have like the opt-in that goes to the VSL, that goes to the schedule page, that goes to booking a call or having a call. Now, I'm going to walk you through the comparison of the two, the pros and cons, just so you can kind of see where the Instagram growth funnel sits and how it can be superior to any other funnel out there. So with the traditional funnel, right, you're usually paying anywhere from $2 to $5 per opt-in. They then go through to the VSL. Some of them don't even watch it. Some of them just watch part of it. And then after watching the VSL, if anyone's interested, they'll go through to the schedule page. Now, people will land on the schedule page. Not all of them necessarily book a call, but for those that do book a call, you're looking at anywhere, if you're selling high ticket, you're looking at anywhere from around like $100 to $300 per call. Now, the call's another story because you have no-shows and you also have people that come through that might not be qualified. So those are the cons, right? It can be expensive to run and you're using effort and force. You know, you're relying a lot on your sales ability if the leads aren't pre-sold coming into the VSL, especially if you're running like a cold ad. It typically leaks leads, okay? So when we have, you know, the opt-ins of VSLs are scheduled to the call, if someone hasn't, you know, scheduled a call with you, or if someone hasn't opted in, you are leaking leads, you're leaking traffic, right? Because there are people that have come through to the funnel that you can obviously retarget and put them into an email nurturing sequence, but it's not really going to do much. You're not really adding value compared to if someone's following you and now they're now in your kind of social media ecosystem where they're seeing your face on a day-to-day basis, seeing like your personality and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot different. So you can leak leads a lot when you're using traditional funnels, especially if, you know, they're not booking calls and stuff like that. Now, prospects are stone cold, third point. If you're running a cold VSL funnel, you know, you're gonna have to expect to run into some level of effort and force when it comes to your sales calls and stuff like that. They are cold, they don't know who you are, they might have been through this VSL and seen your ad, but you know, it can be difficult. And it's not to say it doesn't work. You know, we've used traditional funnels with clients and we've crushed it, but we've just found a better way. And we're doubling down on that. It's just simple as it is, really. So fourth point is low conversion rate. You know, you are going to be relying on your sales ability when it comes to the call, which isn't necessarily a problem for some people, but some of the clients we work with, they're great at coaching and they're very creative people, but they're just not that good at selling or convincing or persuading. And that's not a problem because when you use the right system, you don't have to do all of that stuff. And that's kind of what I'm walking you guys through today. And also it doesn't compound. Okay, and I'm gonna walk you through what I mean by that in just a moment. So let's move over to the Instagram growth funnel. Per follow, you're gonna be looking at anywhere from 3 cents all the way up to $3 per follow. And I'm gonna be talking you through how I came up with those metrics and why. Because typically when we're looking at the $3 per follow, that's going to be high quality, but the 0.3 may be because you're running like some kind of mass appeal follower ad, but the quality of the lead might not be there. So I'll walk you through my kind of theory behind putting that. So we go from the follow to the nurture, to the conversation, to the call, okay? And with this Instagram growth funnel, you're looking at paying anywhere from $25 to $100 per call. And you might say, well, that $100 isn't far off the $100 that we're paying here. But it's not so much the price per call that matters, it's the type of call. Because to be honest with you, like if you could be guaranteed that you would be paying $1,000 per call for a red hot lead that is pre-sold, like you'd pay for that, right? If your program's 3, 2, or even 5K, you would pay for that. So it doesn't matter about the price of call, it's the type of call that you get when running the Instagram growth funnel. So it's like low cost and high reward. Okay, you're paying low cost for followers and it's high reward because you're able to nurture those followers and keep them within your social media ecosystem. The leads don't leak or go to waste. You know, if someone follows you, they're in your ecosystem, they're seeing your stuff on a day-to-day basis, your stories, you're able to have conversations with them, they're seeing your organic, they're seeing your retargeting ads, they're seeing everything that you're putting out. And no matter where they go, even if they go to your funnels, if they watch your videos, it's all kind of data points that we can now retarget with, right? So typically leads don't leak or go to waste. We can maximize a lot of the stuff here. Even if someone sees your follower ad and they click on your profile, but they don't even follow you, we can still retarget that Instagram profile visit retargeting campaign, right? So there's a bunch of stuff that we can do here. It's intensive when it comes to the warm-up process. I'm gonna walk you through how we do that in a moment. And personally, based on my experience, it's the highest converting customer journey. If you take a prospect through the Instagram growth funnel compared to a traditional funnel, bear in mind, you can actually, and I'm going to show you how you can integrate the traditional funnel into the Instagram growth funnel. I'm not shitting on VSLs, you know. I'm not saying that VSL funnels don't work. I'm just basically, you know, what we focus on is engineering the journey before the funnel. Because at the end of the day, guys, the gurus are going to tell you different, right? But every single fucking funnel works. You know, there's going to be people out there that say this funnel's the best, this funnel's the best, da da da. Every funnel works. It's more about the journey before the funnel. And when I say Instagram growth funnel, it's really a customer journey, right? It's not even the funnel in the typical sense. It's more so about the journey that someone takes before they arrive at having a conversation with you or booking a call with you. So it also compounds over time, you know, because the leads that you had, the followers that you had obtained in, you know, month 1, month 2 are going to be red fucking hot when it comes to month 3 and month 4, right? And your revenue is going to compound over time, because over time your followers are going to get more, you're going to have a higher amount of followers, but also the followers that came through early on in the phase of your campaigns are going to be warming up, and that warmth is going to compound over time. And obviously that warmth is going to lead to more revenue, right? And higher trust and all that sort of stuff. So it's not that, you know, traditional funnels don't work. We just focus on engineering the process before someone arrives at your funnel. So obviously with traditional funnels, you know, you have a cold prospect, they go through an opt-in. You're going to lose 25 to 50% of these people that don't even opt in. So they don't even land on your VSL page. They watch your VSL. Again, you've got to be mindful of watch rate, because some people watch 10%, 20%, 30%, rarely 100%. And then all the way through to, you know, schedule page. Not all people schedule. And then we have obviously the meeting. Not all people show at the meeting. And sometimes the people that do might not be qualified, depending on how well you've set this funnel up, right? So like I mentioned earlier, you can still use the VSL training funnel, because if we have the Instagram follower campaign, you know, we have the follow, the nurture, and then the retargeting or conversation stage, you can send them through to a VSL where they would then schedule the call. But that's after going through all of this. And I'm going to show you how in depth our kind of nurturing process is and how well thought out it is. And you can see literally just when you're thinking about things logically, guys, like you can see how this would work, like thinking about it logically. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, anytime I've joined like a mastermind, a high ticket coaching program, a mentorship program, anything like that, I've never joined it off the back end of just seeing an ad, watching a VSL, booking the call, and then paying that person $5,000 to $10,000. Now, bear in mind, just because I haven't done it, doesn't mean people don't do it. Because like I said, we work with clients where we do cold VSL funnels and then our client closes 5 to 10K programs on the back end of that. So it does work, but it's not so much about what does work. It's about maximizing your results, maximizing your fulfillment as well, guys. Because if it was me, you know, I would prefer to have sales calls with people that are pre-sold and people that don't need to be persuaded or convinced into my program. You know, it's all about scaling your business with flow and not force. You can run a VSL funnel successfully, but why do that when there's a different way to do it that's going to be better, not only for your top end, for your revenue, but also for your fulfillment and your enjoyment of actually running this business, right? So that's really kind of what this is all about, right? Now, the main traffic sources that I want to talk about today are follower ads, DM ads / comment ads, and organic content. That's pretty much how you're going to get people onto your Instagram page. And when we're talking about our specific case study, the 80K per month case study, we focused predominantly on follower ads. So let's have a little deep dive into some of the data points we got here. So this was one of our follower ad campaigns. You can see here that some of these ads were getting 1 cent to 3 cent per Instagram visits. Now, obviously that's not per follow. And on this ad in particular, you know, we had reached around 5.5 million. This ad account had reached around 5.5 million people. So this isn't based off the back of me running an Instagram growth campaign for 3 weeks and now sharing this knowledge. You know, we had 3 different ad accounts for this client. Obviously, if you're familiar with scaling on Meta, you know, ad accounts are another friggin' story that I'll probably do another video on one day. But we have 3 different ad accounts running, because obviously you get problems with one ad account, you move to the other. But yeah, we have 3 of them running. And this particular ad account, we've had 578,000 Instagram profile visits. So we've done a lot of optimizing, a lot of testing, and we kind of know what we're doing with this, right? And on average, because obviously we have a Google sheet that has the cost per Instagram visit to the amount of followers that we're getting on that day when we look at the Instagram profile analytics, it's costing us on average between all three of our ad accounts 20 cents to 40 cents per follower. Now, if you're familiar with Instagram growth campaigns, you'll be like, holy shit, that's pretty good. But the reason we're able to get this number, I'll just be completely transparent with you, is because the product for the offer for this coaching client in particular has a mass appeal to it. You know, it's pretty much any woman over the age of like 30 would appeal or could potentially be interested in this offer for our clients. So that's why we're able to do that. It's not like a super sub niche kind of offer that's only applicable to a specific demographic. So I thought I'll be honest there, but obviously we're able to really crush it with this client and get that. But like I said, you know, for other clients, we've been able to get qualified followers for niche offers for around like $1 to $3, you know, so it's still super effective when you think about the longevity of those leads. Now, when it comes to the type of follower ads, I'm going to walk you through, you know, what we had tested over here. So there's three types of follower ads, right? You have lifestyle type ads where it's, you know, you're kind of like walking your clients through, it could be like a day in the life or just showcasing B-roll of you living your life, selling the lifestyle rather than selling the product. And the reason why this can potentially be good is because it has a mass appeal. You know, it allows you to sell the lifestyle, and in doing so, you'll gain indirect exposure to your offers, which also helps with building authority and credibility. Because if people are seeing you live that dream life, they're like, oh, this is interesting. What does this guy or girl do? They click onto your page. They obviously learn more about what it is that you do. They're interested in all that sort of stuff. And it helps you build authority and credibility, because if you're living a very abundant life, you're out there just basically, you know, living the dream life that these guys has envisioned, they're like, okay, well, he's been able to get that life, which kind of builds that authority and credibility, and he's teaching people how to do it. Let's see what he's all about. So the reason why this can be a bit of a downside is that the mass appeal is a double-edged sword, right? You'll sacrifice control over lead quality. If you're appealing to the masses, you might not attract the particular ideal client avatar that you have in mind, right? Which can be a problem, but it can also not be a problem. It just depends on your offering. You also have value-based ads. You can see here how to make $1,000 in 60 minutes. These work well because you leverage the law of reciprocity, you know, basically providing value without expecting anything in return. Naturally, people are going to want to kind of repay you in some way, and that could be as little as just visiting your Instagram and dropping you a follow. It's also a great style to demonstrate your expertise. Obviously, if this guy has a really good method that he's came up with, which enables him to generate $1,000 in 60 minutes, it's going to show that, okay, this guy knows his shit, right? He knows what he's talking about. And you can also niche it down even further to increase lead quality, because this title in and of itself can appeal to the masses, if you think about it. But if he put how to make $1,000 or how to acquire 10 personal training clients in the next 60 minutes, obviously that's going to be niche to personal trainers, right? So you could increase your lead quality doing it that way, because anyone that follows you is going to be interested in that topic and are likely a personal trainer. Now, the cons for this is that if you niche it down, you might end up paying more per follow, which I put as a con because it's the only con I could think of, but I don't personally view it as a con, because if you are paying a high amount for a very qualified lead, you know, if that lead's valuable to you, if you have like a high ticket program, or you have, you know, a long lifetime value for each lead, it's not going to bother you, right? Because if you're paying for the right person to come follow you on social media, like, you're not going to care, because it's exactly what you want. Now, I have another example of one of our clients here, Amy, and I wanted to put this in here because she did some posts which were problem-specific ads. So we have here, taking years to develop a product. This client, Amy, she specializes in helping clean beauty founders scale their business, go to market, get stocked in, you know, supermarket shelves, all that sort of stuff. So she has very kind of niche specific problems that she can talk about. And this is great because when you have extremely niche messaging, you're going to attract an extremely niche individual. And it's the same con, you know, you could be paying more to get those followers, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because you know that if they're coming through a niche, a problem specific ad and they land onto your Instagram page, you know, if they follow you that they're going to be interested in creating that type of business or interested in your offer. So we were able to scale Amy to $30,000 per month during our first, month working together, which is pretty cool. Now, your results will compound over time. And this is why I love the Instagram growth funnel. You know, we have revenue potential here and timing along the bottom. You can see month 1, month 2, month 3, we're going to start to go up because the leads that came in on month 1, by the time we get to month 3, they're going to be super warm. They've seen like 2 months worth of your content. Now, it's not to say you can't get, scale and get money fast from this method. I would say that you should expect to see some like solid results within the end of like month 1, like week 3 to 4. You should start to see, followers are starting to grow. You're starting to get some people reach out or engage with your content. But month 2 to 3 is when you really start to make the money because, like I said, you've got people in month 1. Everyone that came through here is basically gonna be warmed up to the point where we get to month 3 or month 2 where you can start, putting offers out there because you've been providing a lot of value, and you're gonna see the money flood in. You're gonna see the leads come through that are pre-sold. There's no resistance to getting on a call with them or even closing them. We even have some clients that sell strictly through the DMs. They don't even get on sales calls, okay? People send them a message, where's the frigging payment link? Boom, and they pay the invoice. It's really as simple as that. And that's kind of the effect that you have when you stop trying to focus on, getting cold leads to a VSL and forcing sales for a sales call, and more so engineering that journey and taking them through a specific, sequence of things that you're doing to install that trust, that credibility, the authority, and basically just, preach that what you're doing and kind of shifting the paradigm of your ideal client, right? And you're essentially communicating with them and telling them that, you are the only logical choice. You become the only logical choice in a prospect's mind when you do it right. Now, the typical customer journey of the IG growth funnel kind of goes like this, right? Where you have a couple of ads that you'll split test. So you have like ad 1, ad 2, ad 3. It could be like the lifestyle ad, the value ad, the problem specific ad. They go through to your Instagram profile. Now, if they followed you, you can do a couple of things with this, right? You can create a lookalike audience based off the people that follow you. So if we have like 1,000 followers that we gained using this method, instead of now continuing to target whatever audiences that you're targeting with that follower ad, you can create a lookalike audience based off of those followers, right? So you've got 1,000 qualified followers of people that have come through, they're interested in what it is that you do. And you can now target people that share, similar attributes to those individuals. So that's gonna make your targeting even more precise. Now, if they didn't follow you, you can still retarget them, if they visited your Instagram profile. Now, I would only personally recommend this if you have a very niche type of ad. Don't retarget people off the back end of a mass appeal ad, because if they visited your page but didn't follow, they might not be qualified. Whereas if you have like a niche problem specific ad and someone clicks on your profile based off of that, 9 times out of 10, they're probably gonna be within that audience. They just didn't end up following you. So it would be worth retargeting them. Now, if they did follow you, we can now initiate the nurture sequence. So what we like to do is we like to hit people with the 3 Ps. 3 Ps is problem, proof, and product. And what that basically is, you're hitting them with content which demonstrates proof that, what you do actually helps people. You're talking about your product. Obviously, it's in an indirect way, right? Or your methodology, whatever it may be. And then you're talking about the problem, right? Niche problems that you can solve. And it's all to do with your messaging. We get all of our clients to fill out in-depth ICP documents when it comes to working with them, because your ability to convert people through social media relies solely on your ability to understand the correct messaging that you need to relate to these people with, right? You can be pushing a bunch of content and be stuck on this content hamster wheel, but if your messaging isn't dialed in and it's not relating to the correct type of individual, you're ultimately, that's basically going to reflect the amount of money that you're making. So we hit them with the 3 Ps, we retarget them with a bunch of different content, focused on these 3 pillars. And then there's also an exclusion tactic that we use specifically with our clients where we can manipulate the ads algorithm to hammer the audience with ads. And what I mean by that is typically what you'll find is that if you've been hit with someone's ads and you don't engage with them or don't watch them or anything like that, eventually they'll fizzle out and you won't see those ads. And there's a way that we can retarget these new followers, these new fresh followers, where every time they open Instagram, they see the specific ads that we want them to see. And we use this specific exclusion tactic that I'll probably talk about because it's a whole nother video in and of itself on my channel. So definitely subscribe and keep an eye out for that video because that is truly magical when you use that. Now, what happens here is, when we start the nurturing sequence, what I typically like to do, and again, this is the beautiful thing about the Instagram growth funnel is that it's super flexible, right? There's no cookie cutter path that everyone needs to take, but this is something that works for us. We do use other methods that I'll probably talk about on the channel one day, but this is one of the things that we do. So these pieces of content, right, that we have up here, that we start to nurture people with, sometimes we attach ManyChat flows to them. So what we'll do is if we have like a problem specific ad, right, you could be talking about that problem in the reel, but because you're not going to get too in depth with it for the sake of being a fast Instagram reel, you may say in the video at some stage, I've created a full training on this, a full video on this, comment training below or whatever it is, comment keyword to get that video and I'll send it to your inbox. Now what we do is we send them a YouTube video. And the reason why we do this is because we want to now take people off of Instagram and start getting them to watch our long form, because the longer someone watches your content, the longer they familiarize themselves with what it is that you do and who you are, the more trust you're going to gain. So you can go one step further. You can send them to that specific YouTube video, or there's a little tactic that we use where we send them to a YouTube playlist. And you probably haven't heard many people talk about this, but what you could do, right, is let's say that, the specific problem was on the reel. You now send them to the long form to learn more about that specific problem. But instead, you send them to an entire playlist where that specific problem is at the top, but then there's other problems that are related to this problem or other problems in general that individual would go through that now compound on each other. And now you're kind of leaking them into other videos, right? Let's say it was like a personal trainer and you were making a video about the best way to get six pack. You could send them to that video. This one could be like the training exercises. This one could be like the nutrition. And then this other video down here could be like the mindset behind it or whatever, I'm just thinking on a whim, but that gives you an idea of how you can not only give them what they've asked for, but give them more and indirectly gain more trust, get more watch time and, all of the above. So that's a good little tactic there. And what we do to expand on this is inside of this playlist, we will have a hidden URL funnel or something like that people would go to maybe learn more about your product or whatever it is that you're selling, your offer. And the only place people can access this URL is from these YouTube playlists. So the reason why we do this, I'm going to get into that in a moment, right? We get a follower, okay? We now initiate the retargeting sequence. So they're seeing content that hit the 3 Ps, proof, product, problem. They get nurtured with these over the next week or so. They start going through, watching problem-specific YouTubes, and they've maybe even landed on a playlist. Now at this point, right, they're pretty fucking warm. They've seen a lot of content. They've been seeing you show up on stories and all that good stuff. And now they've watched a couple videos from your playlist. They're going to eventually find this hidden URL that is based in the description of these videos. And we don't necessarily have to push promote them. We just wait for people to find them. Now, the people that do find these hidden URLs, we're going to now retarget them with either DM ads to initiate conversation or VSL ad. And then by the time we've actually spoke to these people and we get them to book a call or close them, they are going to be super freaking warm because they've been through all of these stages of this Instagram growth funnel. And that is how we not only generate a fuck ton of money for some of our clients, but we also do it with flow. Okay, the calls that the clients have are pre-sold. The conversations that they have, there's no resistance whatsoever. And to be honest with you guys, like pretty much 90% of our clients, we just hire appointment setters. So you don't even have to do this yourself. And I would recommend you don't. I mean, unless you're just starting out, for example, but you can hire appointment setters that just live in your DMs and they just basically conversate with these people on a day-to-day basis. So that is the general funnel overview, right? Now, if we move on to the almost perfect IG profile optimization, I'll get into why it's almost perfect. I can kind of teach you now like how we can start to structure your Instagram profile to maximize as much juice out the orange as possible, right? Get as much revenue from the followers that you're going to be getting to your Instagram page. So the first thing, it may seem superficial, it may seem like nonsense, but if you're doing this, I'd probably just recommend paying, I think it's like $12 or something like that a month, just to get the verified badge. I don't know why it works. It does. It's just like a perception thing, right? You see someone with a verified badge, some people would instantly think, oh, they're more credible, this, that, and the other. Don't ask me. I personally don't care, but I would recommend if you are putting money into an Instagram growth funnel, go ahead, get the verified badge. So the next thing you can see here is world's world's #1 online fitness coach. Coach? What is going on? World's #1 online fitness coach. Bold claim, can be somewhat controversial, but it's good because people are like, okay, this guy thinks he's the #1 top dog. Let's see why. So he says here, obviously you don't have to have world's #1 XYZ. I'm just pointing out some of the things that he's doing here. Now, what I would like you to do is state who you help, right? So he says here, I help men get jacked and coaches build businesses. He actually helps two types of individuals. He helps guys who want to get jacked and online fitness coaches who want to grow their businesses, right? He's got here, I mean, not everyone can do this, but this is a flex. He's got 8K fitness results on this page, and then he's got another page down here, which is 1K coaching results. So he's got 2 pages which showcase testimonials results from each of his individual niches that he helps, right? And then we got the highlight reel down here. He's got stuff here like PR for credibility, live events, credibility, business growth, talking about tips and stuff, free resources, law of reciprocity, YouTube, getting people onto the long form, video reviews. He's got results, proof, and the podcast that he's got here. Now, personally, the reason why I think this is almost perfect is because, this guy's crushing it. He doesn't need to take my advice. He's doing really well with what he's doing, but not everyone has the credibility and the results that he's got. So if you are just starting out with this, I would just recommend having 2. Have your results and have your YouTube. Because, when you see all of this, you may even get overwhelmed and you don't even know what's going on here. But when you just see like a single highlight, which is like YouTube, or a single highlight, which is like results or testimonials and stuff like that, you're more inclined to click on those because you're not overwhelmed with kind of decision fatigue, seeing all of these different options. Now, the main thing I would like you guys to do if you are running an Instagram growth funnel is have 3 pinned posts at the top of your feed. Now, typically, you want to hit these different areas, right? One of them wants to build credibility and authority. One of them wants to be transparent and vulnerable about your journey and your story. And the last one needs to be about proof or results. And Charlie has literally done all 3 of these, right? He's got credibility and authority, winning the, I think this is the 8 or 7 figure Comma Club award from ClickFunnels. And he's got the story. Okay, allow me to introduce myself. This is a carousel post taking you through his story, how he started the business, where he is now, all that sort of stuff. Helps people to relate to you. And this is another reason why the Instagram growth funnel is good, because it allows you to convey your personality, your journey, your story, your vulnerable experience and how you've able to overcome certain challenges and get to where you are today. And that in and of itself is far more superior than any cold funnel you're going to put someone through, because before someone buys your coaching program, they buy the coach. Okay, they buy from people. People buy from people. They know, like, and trust. And you can do all of this with the Instagram growth funnel, and that's why we love it so much. And then the final one is the proof, right? The results. So this is a pinned post about one of his clients, and it's a story that other potential clients may relate to. So that is pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, message me on Instagram. I'll reply with in-depth voice notes, and I'll see you on the next one.